What is up, guys? Devin Ryan VITEK here. Tonight I have a great guitar tutorial for you. It is going to be Christian Death's Spiritual Cramp. I'm a huge fan of Rozz and Rikk Agnew, the guitarist who played on this track. It's a no-brainer, and when I got some requests to do this, I'm totally happy to oblige. Let's get right into it off this classic of Only Theater of Pain, deathrock classic. So we're going to start here on the C sharp power chord. So that's going to be 4th fret A string, 6th fret D string, just those two notes. And it's going to sound like this. I'll play through it and then I'll explain it with some edit cuts. Alright, let's go. So what we're going to be doing there is we're going to take that 4th fret power chord and slide it up 1 fret. So C sharp to D, it'll sound like this. And then right after that, we're going to go to the lower strings on the 4th fret, E and A, but on the 4th fret. So we started on 4th, went up to 5th fret, and then now we're going to go back to the 4th fret, but on the lower strings. So it'll sound like this. We're going to play that riff 2 times, I believe, in the beginning, and then we're going to go to a B riff. And the B riff sounds like this. So it's going to start on the B 2nd fret power chord, and then it's going to sound like this. And again, same power chord shape that we did here on the 4th fret and 5th fret on the A string, but we're just going to do it on the 2nd fret now and go down to the 2nd fret also on the lower strings. So B, A sharp, F sharp. So it'll sound like this, the main riff slowly in the beginning. And if you're curious why I went all the way up to the 9th fret, this is an F sharp power chord, right? This is too. They're just kind of octaves of each other. So this is the lower octave or 2nd position of that chord, and this will be the next position of that chord. Or right here too. All F sharp power chords. If you really want to, you could stay right there and go both times. But I do hear on the record that Rikk goes up to the 9th fret just so it sounds higher. You could also do that here too. It also kind of helps you get back to that C sharp, because if you're up here, getting back to there is kind of hard unless you want to do it on the E string. So we're going to play that a couple times throughout the song, and then we're going to get into a new riff. And it's going to start on the D 5th fret power chord. So A string still, but this is a D power chord. And then we're going to go over to 2nd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret on the E string. So it'll sound like this. We're going to play that a couple times, and then we're going to go back to that B riff I showed you earlier and play that a couple times too. Okay, so that next lick is going to sound like this. It's just all going to be on the B string here and on the 15th fret, and it's going to go down, and then we're basically just walking up and right back down. And then I like to end that just with the bend here on the 17th fret on the E string up. And then just go back to that C sharp riff, the original riff I showed you. Alright, now we're going to talk about the guitar solo. So, this song has a very cool, kind of horror movie sounding guitar solo. And Rikk for this solo uses octaves. Octaves are a huge part of his sound, whether it be Adolescence, the Blue record, or Christian Death. And I think the one thing people get wrong about Rikk's sound is they don't use octaves. Especially in songs like Romeo's Distress, they do single notes, kind of like this. It's always been octaves. You can go back and listen to the Blue Adolescence record, and octaves were a huge sound of the Agnew brothers kind of guitar duo. Anyways, we're going to start on this 4th fret octave. It's just 4th fret, C sharp, and 6th fret G, which will also be a C sharp. So we're going to play that a couple times, just straight through, like. And it should just be those 2 notes. So make sure you're muting the rest of the strings like you do with the power chord, so it doesn't sound like this. We're going to play through that a couple times, and then we're going to slowly walk up. And it's going to sound like this. So that's 8th fret to 7th fret, octave. 10th fret to 9th fret, octaves. And then 13th fret to 12th fret. We're going to play those a couple times. And then what we're going to do is, this is how I think you should play it, the easier way to play it in my opinion. We're going to go to a D string octave, but the shape for it is a little weird. It's no longer like this, because the B string on guitar, how it's laid out is always a little weird. You always got to go a fret up with the B string, for everything. And we're going to go D string, C sharp, and then B string, what is that? 14th fret. So both are C sharp, making it an octave again. And then we're going to play it like this. So 11, 7, 9 with those octaves. And there's a little bit of a rhythm if you can't do that, you can play all these octaves just straight through with down picking if you want, or up and down. But I hear a bit on the record that there's a bit of, like what us guitarists call, chukka chukka, like. So that's what I hear. Anyways, and we're going to do that a couple times. And then after that, if you have a flanger pedal, this would probably be the time to turn it on. But I don't have one on my board right now. I just only have the chorus, which I turned off so you can hear better when I'm tuned in standard. But I usually just do some pull-off licks. A pull-off is where you pull off the string, instead of just like lifting it off. That's how I used to play them, but sometimes I still accidentally play them like that. But anyways, I usually just do this with a flanger on, because I think Rikk was just making some cool noise with his flanger during this part of the solo. But I usually just climb up with pull-offs, and it sounds like this. Again, you don't have to do that. You can make any noise you want. Go back, do another octave, anything really. But I think the thing is to just keep it in that kind of evil, death rock sounding spirit. Anyways, and then we're going to go back to that C sharp octave. Again, after you make a little noise or do some pull-offs, we're going to go back to it, and we're going to play it like the beginning of the solo again, straight through. But then we're going to go up to an E octave on the 14th fret. And then we're going to go back down to C sharp. So really this part is pretty simple. It's going to start on C sharp, then up to E, back to C sharp, then up to 15th fret, which is the F octave, and go back down to C sharp. So it'll sound like this. And then you're going to play that a couple times. And then at the end of the solo, you're going to go right back into that 5th fret D power chord riff I showed you earlier. And then we're going to play that a couple times. And then to end the song, we're just going to go back to that C sharp like we did earlier. Basically, the root key of the song, root chord. You could experiment. You could do a minor chord there. Or maybe fancier voicings if you could stretch your fingers. But yeah, I love Only Theater of Pain. You know, I have an Only Theater of Pain tattoo. I think Rozz was one of the coolest artists to walk this earth at some point. I resonate really right now with the Dawkins Kuroda material. I think there's some great songs on there. I think Love Lies is one of his coolest songs, you know, that the chorus, love lies, as it must. He definitely sounded almost like Bowie-esque or Mark Bolan-esque on that record. I know he liked both those guys, and, you know, I've never met somebody who doesn't like T-Rex, you know. How do you not like T-Rex? But anyways, yeah. Rikk Agnew, Rozz Williams, Only Theater of Pain, great record. Spiritual Cramp, this is a great song, great to come back to. It's a tricky riff. You know, if you haven't played it in a while and coming back, it definitely is a good warm-up riff because you're moving your fingers around a lot. It's definitely not like a more normal riff, which, you know, might be like you're moving all over the place in this song. But yeah, definitely Christian Death rules. And thank you to everybody who wanted a tutorial for this song and requested it. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, let me know. I think I got everything. If I missed something, let me know. I'll try to type it out for you, but yeah, I think this is it. Thanks, guys.